While it is the day of Friday from amongst the days of Shahr Ramadan, it also happens to be Friday, which is known to our Christian brothers as Good Friday. Good Friday for Christians is a day that involves fasting, worship, and seeking of forgiveness by the fact that they believe that this is the day of the death, the apparent death of Nabi Isa on the crucifixion. The significance of mentioning this is that, similar to us, today should be a day of worship amongst the Christians. However, as they prepare for the day of worship, they also do some analysis, and Gallup releases some information that says that the average attendance in houses of worship in America currently is about 30% of the population attends a house of worship on a regular basis. And they describe and they say that 2 decades ago, back in 2004, for those that were alive and remember, 42% of the population used to attend houses of worship. And since then, a decade ago, the number fell to 38%. And in the past years, the precipitous fall of people attending their houses of worship has come down to only 30% of the US population. That's a drastic fall in a very short period of time of people who are willing to say that I regularly attend a house of worship. While some of the reasons that they noted in why they don't attend houses of worship, why the majority of Americans don't attend a house of worship was logistical, that they didn't live close enough, it was difficult for them for timing, the researcher points out and says that one of the most significant answers, which was not logistics, and top answers for why people don't attend houses of worship anymore, is that they said that we find the members of our congregation to be judgmental or hypocritical. And this is why we don't like to come to houses of worship anymore. This study reflects an overall change in the American landscape that describes and says that currently 64% of the US population identifies with some form of religion. 30% identifies as non-religious, and only about 6% fit in the categories of Islam, Judaism, and Hinduism as the 3 next following religions. And the explanation is that by 2070, 50 years from now, less than 50% of the US population is expected to identify as belonging to any religion. The reason I'm pointing out these numbers is that while we believe that we stand outside of the American norm, as we live here longer and our children adopt this culture and become part of this identity, this is our future I'm describing to you. Our mosques will follow the same trend as the churches are following, that even important days of worship do not have significant attendance. The changes that we need to make in our community amongst ourselves are to understand how to talk about religion in a language that is understandable to our youth, how to actually emulate the values of our faith as a collective, and to be able to welcome people that don't look like us and don't fit into our narrative in the same place of worship. So that as our children change, as their identities change, they still feel like they have a place within our masajid. That's a very important consequence that we need to come to. Part of making sure and preserving your future is paying attention to what's going on around you. And we have a big responsibility that we can learn many lessons from the different communities that are present here within this country, who came to this country similar to the way we have, but lost their identity. America has a trend that you identify with the nation you came for up to your 3rd generation, and after that you blend into the melting pot and you are American before anything else. That means faith doesn't mean anything, culture doesn't mean anything by your 3rd generation. We're going to change that for our community by 1, paying attention to things that we can learn from others who have gone through this experience, and 2, by adopting those essential values to make sure that they remain active in our community, so that the problem we already have, certain people we don't see except for, well, tonight and 21st and 23rd, and then we'll see them again on Ashura. We have to adopt to make sure that they feel welcome here and that there is a place for them here and that we're conscious and we pay attention to them and invite them. So the conversation when you see someone tonight or in the next few nights is not, Perage, came back? That's not the conversation we want to have. We don't want to be hypercritical of the person who comes back to us. We want to be welcoming. We want to ensure that they have a space, that we miss them when they're gone, and that we keep inviting them to keep them in our community so that our next generation stay attached to our faith. So don't miss anyone now so we don't lose everyone later. We ask